Hey guys, my name's Danny, and I've put together a short video on fictional Introjects, but there's a couple of disasters in it, such as Quentin Tarantula's light is kinda shining across my face, and I'm mumbling a lot because our friend is on the phone in the living room, but I don't have time to re-record it. I don't really want to, because sitting in front of the camera for like 3 people to watch this video is a little bit uncomfortable, but I hope it may be useful to either systems who do have fictives or systems who want to show other people what fictives are and how to interact with them. So it's literally 9 minutes of me rambling about introject stuff, and the quality is bad. I'm mumbling, but if you can sit through it, I hope it might be useful to at least 1 or 2 people, because I know some of our friends especially have said there's not that much on the internet regarding actual fictives and how common they are in systems, because it's not a weird thing for your brain to feel close to characters or other people if you're going through trauma. So hopefully, even though the rest of the video might be a bit quiet in this, and like I said, Quentin's light is in the way, I hope it may be useful to at least 1 or 2 people. So yeah, try and enjoy it. I'll put some text or something in it to make it a little bit less insufferable, because it's just a guy talking for 9 minutes, but yeah, enjoy. Hey guys, my name's Danny. I haven't made a video yet, but today I'm going to be putting together a short guide on fictional introjects. And for anyone who doesn't know what that means, an introject is an alter that is based on somebody else. So if you put the term fictional in front of that, it means an alter that is based on a fictional character. They can be from TV shows, movies, books, comics, video games, any kind of source it's called. And I'm hopefully going to put together a short guide for anyone who isn't that familiar with them on how to interact with a fictional introject without accidentally coming across as an asshole. So the first thing to know about fictives is that just like any other alter, they are formed out of necessity to deal with trauma. So an example off the top of my head, a young person who's going through a lot, watching and reading Superman is probably going to be looking at that character thinking, watching them protecting people and looking after people and making sure nobody's getting in harm's way. So in turn, if you are missing that kind of protective figure in your life, especially as a young child, your brain then takes that on and internalizes it, and that is essentially how a fictive splits off. You see it, you're absorbing it a lot, and it's something you don't have and you need. So that's what you get in the same way you would form a protector alter who is not an introject to keep you safe, keep you out of harm's way, and make sure that you are surviving whatever situation you are in. So step 1 with interacting with fictional introjects is remembering that they are just like any other alter. They are formed out of trauma and stress. The second thing that may be worth taking into account is if you find out someone is an introject, is not asking where they are from. If somebody wants to tell you, they will. But if you are hassling them to find out what they're based on and they don't want you to know about it, then leave off it. It doesn't matter. They are still a member of a system. They are a fully fledged individual person with their own experiences, memories, opinions, personality traits, all that stuff. So these people are not just, they haven't just stepped out of a TV show or a book into this person's brain. And that's kind of what is on to step 3, which is do not treat introjects like they are just a carbon copy of their character. So if you've had a fictive around in your system for 10 plus years, they've had all this time to make their own memories, have their own experiences, and even in the first place, introjects can be extremely loosely linked to where they originally come from. And this is to the point where people don't even realize that an alter is an introject until several years down the line when they go back to revisit some old media or something, and they suddenly realize that, hey, this person is similar to that person. But the link can be so loose that you wouldn't even know. So, spoiler alert, I am a fictive, I'm an introject, but I do not use the same name as the character that I originally am sort of based off. I'm not very similar in personality anymore. I was, but I've been here for so long now that things have changed. We've come places, tried different things, you know, I've been around, and I am not just a character from a movie. And I think this is the biggest thing. If you know where someone's from, or they are public about it, it does not mean that you can go up to them like, oh, I love you, or I love this thing that you're from, or oh, I write fan fiction about your character, that kind of stuff, because that is not what we are. And if someone does feel close to whatever they are based on, that's fine. But treating them as if they are just some quirky, fun character from a TV show or a movie or a comic that you like is not cool. It's a good way to make everyone uncomfortable, and again, forget the whole thing that this person came about in the system through necessity and trauma, and that they, again, are not just a fun character from a TV show. Another thing about fictives is that the same as alters can have memories that are different to the body, is that they can remember things from the source they came from. So while the host might remember things that, you know, they've been doing in the body for the past however many years, alters may have memories linked to the source or the media they came from, and that can be difficult, like it is for any alter that has different memories to the body. That is, fictives are no different in that sense. So if you have an introject from a TV series that's been running for a long time, they might remember things that happened earlier on in that media as their own, like, real memories. But on the flip side, they can be completely different. They may have memories that match the body. They may have not very many memories whatsoever. It might be completely different to any of it. So it may seem random, but it's what the brain's doing to survive. So basically, the whole thing with fictional introjects is they are their own people. They can be so different from their source you wouldn't even know they were an introject unless they told you. They can be really, really similar, and that's okay too. They can be persecutors, protectors, trauma holders, any of it. They are exactly the same as any other alter, and the important thing to do is to treat them as such. You wouldn't go up to a stranger and tell them that because you'd coincidentally heard of them on the internet that you've been writing fanfiction about them, or that you love them, and you wouldn't turn around and say to them you were disappointed they're not as cool as you thought they were upon finding out that actually they're a real person with real trauma, and they are part of a survival mechanism for people who are going through so much shit without anyone to really be there for them to help them through it. And that's pretty much the whole thing on fictives, is treat them like their own people. You may not even know they're a fictive, but they are completely valid alters, and there is a lot of shame, I think, surrounding the idea of having introjects, because people think that it's just as simple as having a character suddenly moving into their system, and it's not. And I know our system personally really struggles with validity with the whole fictive situation, and that shouldn't be the case. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense that introjects are a thing, because children, especially again, who are going through stuff are likely to be consuming a lot of books, media as a form of escapism because they need to get away from whatever is happening. I know that's really heavy, but it makes total sense that they would internalize and take on board certain characters from certain things as a coping mechanism. So, 2 things to take away from this. Fictives are their own people. Do not try and treat them like they're just a character from a TV show, because they're not. And 2, I have just forgotten it. That's good, isn't it? There's me trying to give a speech on how important this is. I'm gonna have a think about that. And 2, probably just as important, you are completely valid if your system has a lot of introjects, no introjects, if there are some introjects who are similar to their source and some who are super far away from it. It doesn't matter. If you've got them in your system, they are there for a reason. They are just as valid and just as real as any other alter. And that is pretty much all I have to say on the situation right now. But yeah, my name's Danny, I'm an introject. I use a different name. I'm nothing like my source, and I would be surprised if anyone was able to guess it unless I've already told them about it, which is like 3 people. So yeah, that is a hopefully handy guide on how to talk to an introject made by a very tired and very confused, also introject. That's me. But one last thing before I actually go for good is a little collection of the terms that have been used in this video in case they don't make sense to some people. So, an introject is an alter based on somebody else. And again, put the term fictional in front of that, it is an alter based on or originating from a fictional character. Number 2 is the word source, and that is where an alter is from. So for example, a fictive of Harry Potter would have the source Harry Potter. And fictive is literally just this sort of casual term for a fictional introject, but I know some people don't like that term anymore, so introject is probably the better one to start off with using. And I think that's about it as far as words I've been using in this video. But yeah, introject, source, fictive, fictional introject, and that is pretty much all I can think of that might not make sense to some people. I'm actually gonna go now.